Get the unmissable news stories of the day.
This is the Beijing Hour.
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host.
Shane Begum with you on this Wednesday, March 11th, 2026. You're listening to the Beijing Hour, coming to you live from the Chinese capital. On today's program, the annual meeting of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference has come to a close in Beijing. China will expand its elder care network under the country's 15th five-year plan. And China says U.S. Israeli strikes on Iran are in violation of the UN Charter and global diplomatic norms. In business, oil prices have swung wildly in recent days over the ongoing tensions in the Middle East. In sports, the latest football results from the Champions League. In culture and entertainment, China's digital culture is going global. Now checking the day's top stories. The fourth session of the 14th National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference is concluded in Beijing. Chairman Wang Huning said the political advisory body will better play its role to serve the country's development. The week-long annual session drew more than 2,100 committee members to deliberate on state affairs and offer proposals. Zhang Yibing has details.
The annual session of the National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference has concluded in Beijing, with Chinese President Xi Jinping and other senior members of the Communist Party in attendance. During the closing meeting, the committee adopted the report of the Standing Committee, a resolution on the progress of work proposals since previous session, and a report on a review of proposals for this session, as well as the political resolution of the annual session. China's top political advisor Wang Huning underscored the Communist Party's leadership as the country embarks on its 15th five-year plan. It stressed the CPPCC should better leverage its role of political organization, offering advice and suggestions for governance and pooling wisdom and strength in order to serve the country's overall development.
We must better leverage the CPPCC's role in offering policy advice and making proposals. Wherever the central tasks of the party and the nation advance, the CPPCC must consolidate its wisdom and strength to support them. Serving and facilitating the implementation of the 15th five-year plan will be the main task of our work. It should be reflected in every aspect of political consultation, democratic supervision, and participation in the deliberation of state affairs. By focusing on major issues in economic and social development, we will deepen forward-looking research and strategic thinking, offer valuable and weighty opinions and suggestions to better grasp evolving situations, identify key problems, and devise practical solutions.
Across the world, media and observers from various countries are all asking the same question. In a world filled with turmoil and chaos, what can China provide? Looking back on the past 7 days, the committee members have delivered a comprehensive account of their work and responsibilities in 3 plenary meetings and multiple group discussions. The discussions revolved around the 15th five-year plan starting this year, from food security, poverty alleviation, to environmental protection, from the cultivation of new quality productive forces to the institutional changes needed for high-level opening up. Each topic is setting the tone for the next 5 years, sharing development opportunities with the world through high-level openness and responding to common challenges with the Chinese approach. As Liu Jieyi, spokesperson for the session, noted, China has remained a stable, reliable, and provocative force in a turbulent world.
That was Zhang Yibing at the closing meeting of the top advisory body's annual session. A Chinese political advisor says community development is important in promoting ethnic unity. Cui Haiyang is a member of the Central Committee of the China Democratic League, and he made the remarks on the sidelines of the annual session of China's top political advisory body.
And in the community, people who are living together, they also try to pursue their dreams all together. Right now, it is the time to promote the ethnic unity. So they are using a lot of their own skills to gain income. And in the community also, we've done a lot of work to promote the education and to create more employment opportunities for them. So right now, you can see with all of these efforts, they can help us to improve the unity and also to advance the civilization and also to carry forward the culture.
So I added that Guizhou set a good example in promoting integration among people from different ethnic groups. The province in southwest China received nearly 800 million visitors last year. Meantime, other advisors also talked about the exchanges between the Chinese mainland and Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. Tu Haiming is the vice chair of the Committee on Liaison with Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, and Overseas Chinese. He says Hong Kong can make new efforts to better integrate itself into China's national development during the 15th five-year plan period.
First, it could be the starting point for the mainland enterprises to go global. Hong Kong is very familiar with the international market, so the enterprises from Chinese mainland can register companies in Hong Kong, set sales together with Hong Kong enterprises, and go far. And the second role can act as a strong energy for industrial innovation, because Hong Kong is the world's third largest international financial center. It can inject more the financial resources into development of the domestic enterprises.
Tu adds that Hong Kong can also serve as a bridge for advancing institutional innovation on the mainland and provide low-cost funds for green projects. Chen Jimin's the vice chair of Macau University of Science and Technology, and she says Macau's made remarkable progress in higher education and scientific innovation.
When the Macau SAR was first established, the total number of university students here was only about 8,000. Today, that number has grown to over 62,000. More than 9,000 of those undergraduate, master's, and doctoral students are now pursuing degrees in science and technology-related fields. The number of university research personnel has also risen from just 13 back then to 1,773 today, an increase of 136 times.
Chen adds that the city has also established key labs focusing on traditional Chinese medicine, microelectronics, the smart city Internet of Things, and lunar and planetary sciences. Xu Kowei is a member of the Standing Committee of the Central Committee of the Taiwan Democratic Self-Government League. He says more and more people from Taiwan are coming to the Chinese mainland to do business and achieve success.
In recent years, we've seen young people from Taiwan coming to the mainland and blending the tastes from both sides of the strait into a single cup of milk tea, building chain brands. We've seen them apply AI to traditional manufacturing and emerging as dark horses in their industries. And we've seen them explore new paths for cultural heritage through the shared resonance of Taiwan opera. In them, you can truly see and feel the spirit that those who dare to strive will win. And on the mainland, striving can really lead to success.
Well, Xu adds that peace and development are the shared aspirations of people on both sides of the Taiwan Strait. He calls for more mutual visits and other exchanges between young people from Taiwan and the Chinese mainland. For more insights into how this key political institution operates and how it'll help shape China's development path in the years ahead, Gasturi Manicum spoke with Adam Dunnett, Secretary General of the European Union Chamber of Commerce in China.
China's 15th five-year plan period begins this year. Mr. Dunnett, how do you think the CPPCC can get this plan off to a good start?
Well, already it's been a fantastic week with all the discussions that have taken place, and as we saw today, the final report was accepted and promulgated. Going forward now, we've got the arduous task of ensuring that the five-year plan itself is carried out at all the different levels and sectors for which it is intended. And so the work of the CCCPC doesn't stop there. They need to continue as an advisory body, continuing giving feedback onto the proposals and the eventual policies that have been accepted. And I believe they do that through a structured approach of having meetings, having research tours, continuing to submit proposals. Again, a lot of the proposals that have been submitted and those that have been accepted, they come from expertise. They come from people in the field that are industry experts. So their role is vital to ensuring the continuity of the policies that are about to take place following it.
Now, looking back, the 14th CPPCC National Committee has handled thousands of proposals from its members. Just to give you some data, for 3 consecutive years, it has accepted for processing nearly 100% of these proposals. Very quickly, how do you view this high rate of response?
It sounds like a corporate sort of approach to things. In business, we say 5 standard working days to give people a response, or consumers a response to questions that they may have. And I think we should hold the government and institutions supporting or advising the government to the same sort of level of responsibility. So I'm pleased to hear that the proposals and questions that are being put forth are being taken seriously by the government ministries, and responses is being given back. That's good news.
That was Adam Dunnett, chief of the European Union Chamber of Commerce in China. Coming up, China's expanding its elder care networks across the country.
You've been listening to programs from CGTN Radio.
CGTN Radio.
We invite you to visit us online for more audio, pictures, and in-depth reports. At radio.cgtn.com, you can access a wide range of programs and find your favorite news, talk, features, entertainment shows, and podcasts. Hear the difference with CGTN Radio.
It's 11 minutes past the hour. Nearly 1 in 4 people in China are over the age of 60, and life expectancy is on the rise. The nation will face one of its biggest social tests in the coming years. Feng Yilei looks at the targets and commitments laid out at this year's 2 sessions annual political gatherings as she explores how China plans to build a stronger social safety net and empower its seniors.
For a graying China, the next 5 years are a race against time. To understand where the country is heading, I started here in the mountains of southeast China, where I followed caregivers providing aged care to isolated communities day in, day out. It is a glimpse into the remarkable outcomes China's aged care sector has achieved under the outgoing 14th five-year plan, an expansive elderly care network covering both urban and rural areas. And that ambition is about to get much bigger.
Over the next 5 years, we will continue developing county-level integrated elderly care management platforms, expand the functions of regional elderly care service centers, and appropriately increase the coverage of village and community-level elderly care facilities based on local conditions. By the end of the 15th five-year plan period, we aim to basically establish a 3-tier elderly care service network covering counties, townships, and villages.
The government work report laid out a roadmap boosting public interest services, bridging the rural-urban divide, subsidizing those who need disability care most, and mobilizing social forces to drive a seamless synergy between elderly care services and the silver economy. But how could all these policies make a difference for the elderly I met in those remote mountains? I put this question to a national lawmaker who comes from a similar community. She showed handicrafts made by seniors in her county that have been recognized as intangible cultural heritage, work that has brought extra income and new dignity to their lives.
I suggest linking rural elderly care directly with our rural revitalization strategy. We should use industrial profits to feed back into local elderly care. We need targeted training for caregivers to serve our villages. By leveraging our pristine ecology, we can transform natural beauty into a high-end wellness industry, launching specialized services and products that benefit both our seniors and the economy.
The Chinese government's message this year is clear. Every cent saved must be spent on solving critical development problems and meeting people's urgent needs. Formulating an elderly care service law is officially on the agenda of China's top legislative body. It is also drafting laws on social security assistance, medical insurance, and childcare this year. The big picture policies here may seem simple as they focus on people's everyday life and the real benefits that people can genuinely feel. It is about enabling people to feel secure enough to consume, confident enough to spend, and ready to drive the economy forward. But more importantly, it is about ensuring no one is left behind. This is China's development philosophy, to build a robust social safety net that guards against anyone falling back into hardship. It is offering a new path to the world toward a modernized future.
That was Feng Yilei reporting. This year's two sessions had a strong focus on public well-being. The government work report proposed key indicators and measures concerning elderly care. China's pledge to expand inclusive and rural elderly care, support for the silver economy, and improved rehabilitation and long-term care services. Age-friendly renovations have been completed for over 2 million households with disadvantaged seniors. Under a new policy that took effect in January, China's issued elderly care service vouchers for moderately and severely disabled individuals. The programs benefited nearly 900,000 elderly people. In the eastern city of Nantong, where more than 30% of residents are over 60, a local project connects nursing homes, community services, and home-based care to form a 15-minute elder care circle. A modest in scale but bold in ambition, the initiative offers a window into how China is meeting the challenges of a rapidly aging society. Zheng Tao has more.
The project in the eastern Chinese city centers on 3 embedded elderly care facilities, together offering more than 300 beds. These institutions act as service hubs, extending medical care, nursing support, and rehabilitation into surrounding communities and homes. Project manager Du Yan says the goal is to create a fully connected system of care.
If an elderly resident only has a cold, a fever, or mild pneumonia, they can receive basic medical care right in the nursing home. For serious illnesses, we can immediately connect them to a secondary or tertiary hospital and arrange full treatment, which also eases the burden on their families.
Through this network, services now cover 30 communities, reaching nearly 5,000 residents aged 80 and above. Du says the approach reflects how elderly care needs are changing in China.
Our professional services extend from the institution into residents' homes. In the community, we provide health education and support for cultural and recreational activities. I believe this chain-style approach represents the future of elder care in China, especially since nursing home beds are limited.
Inside the nursing facility, caregivers provide daily support for residents. Zhang Zhihong, a caregiver who has worked there for 6 years, says the job requires patience and compassion.
We make sure to give them extra care, companionship, and conversation so they can feel the warmth of home. Even when their children are not around, we try to be like family, making them feel truly comfortable and cared for.
Young professionals are also joining the sector. 25-year-old nurse Xu Na says technology is improving care, but human touch remains vital.
Devices like sleep monitors and smart mattresses allow us to track health conditions and respond more quickly. For seniors who cannot care for themselves, patience and respect are essential.
China's elderly population continues to grow. By the end of 2025, over 320 million people were aged 60 and above. Du Yan believes this project in Nantong reflects a broader shift taking place across the country.
Looking ahead, our priorities are clear. First, we will continue to advance the integration of medical care and elder care. Second, we aim to embrace technological innovation to empower our services. Third, we will strengthen community connections, bridging the gap between institutions and home-based care to create a seamless regional network.
As China's population ages, models like this are helping bring elder care services closer to the people who need them most. For the Beijing Hour, This is Zhang Tao.
Well, China is striving to build a child-care-friendly society. At the heart of this effort is a nationwide subsidy program. The central government's allocated over 100 billion yuan for the initiative, or roughly about 14 billion US dollars. Eligible families receive 300 yuan per month for each child under 3, totaling 10,800 yuan, or over 1,500 US dollars over 3 years. So far, more than 33 million children have benefited from the program. Beyond direct subsidies, China is also expanding access to affordable care to ease the burden on parents. Last year, the country added 890,000 new slots in public interest nurseries. That brings the total number nationwide to 6.6 million. China has implemented a series of measures in recent years to address an aging population and declining birth rates. The country is mobilizing all sectors to build a childcare-friendly society, a key goal of its national development strategy. Lu Saray reports on how this vision is coming true at every level.
Every weekday, Wang Changming takes his son with him to work. The half-hour drive from home to work is just enough for a small, sweet moment to unfold. But for many other working parents in China, mornings are more like a race. They drop their children at daycare and rush straight back to work. Grandparents once helped, but as families move to big cities, that safety net is slowly fading. That's where companies like Wang step in. The firm runs an in-house child care center, a small but impactful change that makes Wang's daily life lighter.
We really needed this. Balancing work and kids is hard.
One is at school and the other at work, both growing under one roof. This sort of image is still rare in China, but quietly gaining ground. In 2023, China saw around 9 million newborns, with a birth rate of roughly 6 per 1,000 people, less than half the rate recorded in 2016. Behind the number is the struggle of young people's hesitation between self-fulfillment and starting a family. To resolve this tension, the country is now weaving a new social fabric, one that makes raising children a shared effort, not a private struggle. Yet, corporate childcare is only one part of the solution. Another is community. Educational pressure continues to be a major hurdle for families considering children, and nothing exposes that tension more sharply than homework time. Song Zhihe runs an after-school tutoring center next to a local primary school. Every weekday, his staff picks children up, serves dinner, and supervises homework until their parents finish work. Song says the challenge is straightforward. After long work days, many parents simply don't have the energy or the experience to guide them effectively.
School teachers already shoulder most of the academic work. What we community do here is fill the gap that families can't always cover. A child's growth depends on more than parents and schools. It's a shared effort across the whole community.
Beyond corporate and community initiatives, the government is driving China toward a more child-friendly society. Starting in 2025, every family with a child under 3 will receive an annual childcare subsidy of 3,600 yuan, regardless of region and income. Meanwhile, China invested around 5 billion yuan to expand public childcare nationwide from 2021 to 2024. Housing and healthcare have also introduced more family-friendly policies. These measures signal a move from managing population size to improving family growth and well-being. Step by step, the nation is seeking a new balance between work, caregiving, and the aspirations for the next generation.
That was Lu Saray reporting. Coming up, China says the attacks on Iran are in violation of international law.
Pulse Plus, a selection of the best podcasts in China, covering history, customs, music, literature, and in-depth dialogues. Find your way to a wealth of Chinese culture and thinking, all on Pulse Plus.
At 24 past the hour, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi says the U.S. Israeli strikes against Iran have violated the UN Charter and the basic norms governing international relations. He made the remarks in a phone call with his Qatari counterpart, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani. Wang reiterated that China opposes the escalation of strikes and condemns indiscriminate attacks on civilians and non-military targets. He added that China remains committed to playing a constructive role in de-escalating tensions and restoring peace. Al Thani said Qatar has taken necessary self-defense measures and stepped up diplomacy to prevent the crisis from spreading. He also thanked China for its fair and just stance and mediation efforts. The Chinese Foreign Ministry says China is deeply concerned about the situation in the Middle East. Spokesperson Guo Jiakun said the priority for all parties is to cease military operations and return to dialogue as soon as possible.
Since the very first day of the conflict, China has unequivocally called for a ceasefire, an end to hostilities, a return to dialogue and negotiations, and a commitment to a political resolution. The Chinese government's special envoy on Middle East affairs is currently conducting shuttle diplomacy in the region. As a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council and a sincere friend of the Middle Eastern countries, China will not cease its efforts in pursuing peace, nor will it stop advocating for fairness and justice.
Well, he added that China will continue to strengthen communication with all parties and play a constructive role in de-escalating the situation and restoring peace. Chinese government's special envoy on Middle East issues says China is ready to work with the United Arab Emirates to help reach an early ceasefire in Iran. Jai Jun met with UAE Deputy Prime Minister Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan during a visit to the Gulf country. He stated China's consistent view that the sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity of all Gulf nations must be respected, and attacks on civilians and non-military targets must be condemned. Abdullah said the UAE is not part of the Iran conflict and affirmed commitment to regional stability. He thanked China for its just stance and expressed high regard for China's important role, welcoming Jai's shuttle diplomacy. Iran's ambassador to the United Nations says U.S. Israeli strikes have killed more than 1,300 civilians so far, while destroying nearly 10,000 civilian sites. Amir Saed Iravani said the attacks show no respect for international law. He said heavy strikes on fuel storage facilities have resulted in severe air pollution and brought health risks for vulnerable groups. The Iranian envoy urged the international community to stop the war and vowed that Iran would defend its people and territory. A WHO regional official says the organization's documented 41 attacks on healthcare facilities in Iran and Lebanon since the start of the war in Iran, with 22 people killed. Dr. Hanan Balki is the head of WHO's Eastern Mediterranean region, and she expressed concerns about the attacks on the energy facilities.
WHO is very concerned about the attacks on the oil refineries and storage, oil storage sites, including in Iran, Bahrain, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, or any other sites that might potentially become a target for the conflicting partners or parties. And it's important that we understand that there is a huge risk on the environment, on the people, when these attacks take place.
Balki added that they worry about rainfall mixed with toxic pollutants.
If rainfall takes place, these chemicals can lead to significant burns. It can lead to pollution of the air, where the inhalation will lead to toxic material affecting the lungs. These patients will end up having exaggerated asthmatic attacks, will have breathing problems.
The WHO official also warned of the impact of the chemicals falling on rivers, lakes, and even the Gulf Sea. She added that hundreds of thousands of people have been forced to flee their homes over the past 10 days. We're at 29 minutes past the hour. Checking the forecast ahead of the break, in Beijing's down to 0 on Wednesday evening. Cloudy skies and 13 for Thursday. Shanghai will see a light rain and a low of 7, followed by sunshine and 14. Chongqing's down to 13, then cloudy and 26. Nanchang is down to 11, sunny and 20 tomorrow. Last is cloudy tonight and tomorrow, a low of +1, the high is 17. Elsewhere in Asia, Islamabad will see moderate rainfall and 14 this evening, followed by more rain and a high of 23. Vientiane will see a light rainfall overnight and through the day tomorrow with a low of 19 and a high of 30. Phnom Penh's getting some rainfall tonight and tomorrow, down to 23, a high of 34. In Africa, Nairobi is getting a light rain and 26 degrees on Thursday. Kampala will see a light rainfall Wednesday night and through tomorrow with a low of 18 and a high of 25 degrees. It's time for a short break. So far this hour, the annual meeting of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference has come to a close in Beijing. China will expand its elder care network under the country's 15th five-year plan. And China says U.S. Israeli strikes on Iran are in violation of the UN Charter and global diplomatic norms. Shane Begum with you. Stay with us here on the Beijing Hour.
Shh, listen up. Can you hear the heartbeat of our world? It's vibrant and pulsating with the essence of life itself. From the stem of trees to the gurgle of rivers. From the silent strength of mountains to the icy whispers of glaciers. Even the solid ground beneath our feet. And right there, in the midst of all, beats the heart of humanity. What if those other heartbeats were to stop? Would ours keep on ticking?
Ever wondered what's actually going on in Africa through the perspective of an African? How are things really going between China and Africa? What's the narrative of this relationship? Well, get a perspective with China-Africa Talk. Hear from African diplomats, entrepreneurs, academics, Chinese natives, and more. Get on our wavelength every week to find out what's real with China-Africa Talk. Find us on your favorite podcast. We'll see you there.
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host.
Shane Bigham with you on this Wednesday. Still to come. In business, oil prices have swung wildly in recent days over the ongoing tensions in the Middle East. In sports, the latest football results from the Champions League. In culture and entertainment, China's digital culture is going global. To contact us, you can email radio@cgtn.com or follow our X account @CGTNradio. But now with the check of the day's headlines, here's Tianli.
Thank you, Shane. The fourth session of the 14th National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference has concluded in Beijing. The committee adopted the report of the Standing Committee, a resolution on the progress of work proposals since the previous session, and the report on the review of proposals for this session. Chairman Wang Huning said the political advisory body will better play its role to serve the country's development. The week-long annual session of China's top political advisory body drew more than 2,100 committee members to deliberate on state affairs and offer proposals. China says it believes artificial intelligence in military applications should be human-led. Defense Ministry spokesperson Zhang Bin said China opposes any attempt to leverage AI superiority to pursue absolute military dominance or undermine the sovereignty and territorial security of other nations.
将人工智能作为侵犯他国主权的工具。
Making artificial intelligence a tool to violate the sovereignty of other countries, letting it make excessive decisions over wars, and giving the control of life or death to algorithm, not only erode the ethical and accountability constraints of war, but may also lead to a technological runaway and make the apocalyptic scenario from American film The Terminator a reality.
The official said China is willing to work with all countries to promote the multilateral AI governance process with the United Nations at its core and advance the technology in a direction that will benefit the development of civilization. The son of the Iranian president says the country's new supreme leader is safe following reports that he had been injured. Youssef Pezeshkian's statement comes after the New York Times, citing Iranian and Israeli officials, reported that Mujtaba Khamenei suffered leg injuries early in the war. President Volodymyr Zelensky says Ukraine has sent 3 groups of military experts to Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia to share expertise on intercepting drones. He also voiced a hope that U.S. partners in the region could provide Patriot air defense system units to Ukraine in return. Zelensky added that Ukraine has received 11 requests for security assistance from Iran's neighbors, European countries, and the United States, including help in countering drone attacks. The ruling party of Hungary has voted for a bill to allow a shipment of Ukrainian cash and gold seized last week to remain in custody until the completion of an investigation. The Hungarian parliament has passed a resolution with over 120 votes in favor, 28 against, and 9 abstentions. The new resolution will allow Hungarian authorities to hold the shipment for up to 60 days during the investigation period. Video of the seizure showed the arrest of 7 employees of the Ukrainian state-owned Oshat Bank who were traveling in 2 armored cars heading to Ukraine. Authorities said they suspected money laundering. Kyiv said it was a routine transfer of assets between state banks. Fuel shortages in Cuba are triggering a humanitarian crisis, with hospitals facing power outages, medicine shortages, and disruptions to critical services. The United Nations says around 16,000 cancer patients cannot access a radiotherapy, and more than 12,000 needing chemotherapy are going untreated. Food supply chains are also affected, with refrigeration failures and transport interruptions reducing the availability of basic items. The UN is working with member states, including the U.S., to deliver aid, but fuel shortages are slowing operations. Washington recently allowed limited oil shipments to Cuba, but only for the private sector. Local media say a North Korean destroyer has tested strategic cruise missiles. KCNA news agency said the Navy carried out the launch amid continued tests of the ship's operational efficiency. It said the missiles flew along the country's west coast before hitting island targets. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said maintaining and expanding a reliable nuclear war deterrent is important work.
All right, thank you very much. That's Tian Lu with headlines. Coming up in business, oil prices have swung wildly in recent days over the ongoing tensions in the Middle East.
The Beijing Hour, your window on China and the rest of the world.
37 past the hour. And with business now, here's Tian Yu.
Thank you, Shane. Stock markets on the Chinese mainland closed higher on Wednesday. The Shanghai Composite rose 0.2%, while the Shenzhen Component gained nearly 0.8%. New energy shares led the gainers, with tech stocks also advancing. In Hong Kong, the market slipped, with the Hang Seng Index down 0.2%. In Japan, the Nikkei rose about 1.4%. Oil prices are swinging sharply as traders try to assess the impact of the United States and Israel's war with Iran. Brent crude, the international benchmark, plunged 17% on Tuesday to below $80 a barrel before rebounding to around $90. Prices fell again early Wednesday after the International Energy Agency said it was considering what could be the largest release of oil reserves in its history to help stabilize global supply. Karina Mitchell reports.
A lot of that tied to mixed and conflicting reports tied to the Strait of Hormuz. We did see the first down session in 8. We saw a double-digit drop percentage-wise, oil hovering at about $80 for both the international standard Brent and WTI, the U.S. crude oil as well. That as the IEA discusses the potential of releasing strategic reserves. This is the International Energy Association. It's a 30-member bloc. Currently, it holds about 1.2 billion barrels in reserve. And that's after the G7 met virtually. These countries include the U.S., Canada, the U.K., Japan, also to discuss the potential of releasing some of its reserves. Just for some context, the U.S. holds just under 400 million barrels of reserve in the U.S., predominantly in Texas and Louisiana. Now, the U.S. isn't as impacted immediately by all of this chaos that's happening in the Strait of Hormuz, where we are hearing potentially that Iran may be placing some mines and the U.S. somehow counteracting that move if it happens. The U.S. produces a lot of its own energy. It is, of course, a huge exporter. Now, China, for similar reasons, not immediately impacted as well, even though a lot of oil that does go through that strait is directed towards China. Beijing has built up over the years a huge surplus, a huge stockpile of oil reserves. And it's been very proficient about moving towards energy diversification. So turning to things like renewables, green energy, and coal as well. Meanwhile, we did hear from a big Gulf oil player, the CEO of Saudi Aramco, warning of potential, quote, catastrophic consequences for the global oil market if prices remain elevated and if this conflict lingers. And then analysts have been saying that we might see consumers start to pull back on demand, perhaps start driving their cars less because of elevated gas prices, perhaps not as flying as much, turning to alternative sources of energy as well. And this sort of demand destruction is a natural remedy, a natural consequence for sustained high oil prices.
That was Karina Mitchell reporting. Meanwhile, the U.S. Energy Information Administration says Brent spot prices could remain above $95 per barrel over the next 2 months. The agency cites ongoing supply disruptions linked to the latest conflict in the Middle East. The agency expects the benchmark's daily average to fall below $80 in the third quarter and settle around $70 by the year's end. It also forecasts Brent would average $64 per barrel in 2027, up $11 from last month's projection. In parts of Europe, authorities have taken steps to stabilize domestic gas prices. France is seeing prices rise for gasoline and diesel, but the country's economy minister says domestic supplies are not at risk in the short term and urges against panic buying. Hungary has capped gasoline at $1.8 per liter and diesel at around $1.86 as part of efforts to prevent sharp hikes. Similarly, Croatia has imposed temporary price caps on gasoline and diesel for 2 weeks through March the 23rd. The United Nations is warning of severe global economic fallout if the Strait of Hormuz closes. It says ship traffic through the strait has fallen 97% since the latest military escalation. It says this disruption could hit energy markets, drive up food prices, and worsen living costs, especially for vulnerable populations. A report by the American Chamber of Commerce in South China says foreign companies remain committed to the Chinese market. 95% of surveyed companies plan to maintain operations in China. 45% rank China as their top investment priority, up 6 points from 2024. 75% of companies plan to reinvest in China in 2026. More than 400 companies took part in a survey, mainly from the U.S., China, and Europe. Over half are wholly foreign-owned, and a third are American-invested. Patient capital has emerged as a key theme at this year's 2 sessions in China. The message from Beijing is clear, which is long-term investment will fuel the next wave of tech innovation. Aaron Liu reports.
The government work report offers a roadmap built for chain, full life cycle financial services for sci-tech innovation. Not just more money, a smarter system. But what does it really mean?
The goal is a complete tech finance ecosystem. It supports firms from startup to scale up, with long-term patient capital for hard tech.
Tools are already rolling out. The sci-tech innovation relating quote now stands at 1.2 trillion yuan, pushing banks to lend more to R&D-focused firms.
For tech startups, new channels are opening. IP collateral loans and special tech bonds are providing stable financing without traditional assets.
We used our patents to get a loan. No fixed assets needed. That meant more RD, not just paying bills.
Capital markets also step in. A green channel for IPOs and M&As is now permanent for key tech firms.
The STAR market and Chinext are more inclusive now. Unprofitable hard tech companies can go public. Growth no longer waits for profits.
Private equity and venture capital are now urged to invest early, invest small, and invest long, matching the slow burn of deep tech research.
Hard tech needs 5 to 10 years. Patient capital understands that. No pressure for quick returns, just room to iterate until breakthroughs happen.
The ecosystem is bigger than money. It connects policy, capital, industry, and talent in one continuous loop.
So these are all different elements of inclusive financing that should be made available to startup companies when they are growing from very small to gradually expand their operations when they grow up.
AI, new energy, quantum tech, biotech. Strategic industries are now seeing financial support across the board.
For SMEs and little giant firms, inclusive finance is lowering barriers and cutting costs.
Online approval, lower rates, longer terms, small changes that make a real difference for small businesses.
The message from the two sessions is clear. China's tech finance ecosystem is entering a new phase, more open, more efficient.
And that was Aaron Liu reporting. The Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank says it has issued 3 billion yuan in panda pounds, or about $435 million. The 3-year bonds carry a coupon rate of 1.7%. Orders reached 9 billion yuan from 34 investors, prompting the bank to raise the issuance size from an initial 2 billion yuan. Overseas investors accounted for more than half of the allocation. Panda pounds are yuan-denominated debt securities issued by overseas institutions in China. The bank says the strong demand highlights the resilience and appeal of China's onshore bond market. Chinese electric car maker NIO has posted its first-ever net profit for the fourth quarter of 2025. The Shanghai-based company reported a net gain of around 280 million yuan, or $40 million, rebounding from a loss of more than 7 billion yuan a year earlier. NIO expects first-quarter deliveries to reach 80,000 to 83,000 vehicles, with revenue projected between 24 and 25 billion yuan. And finally, Volkswagen has announced it will cut up to 50,000 jobs in Germany by 2030. Europe's largest carmaker says its profit fell to the lowest level since 2016. Earnings after tax dropped about 44% last year.
All right, thank you very much. That's Tianyu with Business. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in sports, the latest football results from the Champions League.
Sideline Story brings you all things sports related. The hottest topics, latest events, juiciest stories, all with a very personal take. Subscribe to Sideline Story Podcast for heated sports discussions covering events that are happening in China and around the world.
46 past the hour. In sports now, here's Yang Guang.
Thank you, Shane. In football action from the Champions League, Bayern Munich has secured a dominant 6-1 win against Atlanta in the first leg of their round of 16 tie. Harry Kane was on the bench. In his absence, Michael Olise scored 2 goals. Serge Gnabry and Nicolas Jackson each scored and set up goals. Josip Stanisic and Jamal Musiala also found the net for the German champions. Lamine Yamal scored with the final kick of the game as Barcelona secured a 1-1 draw against Newcastle United. Harvey Barnes put Newcastle ahead in the 86th minute. Newcastle United manager Eddie Howe believed his team played very well.
Yeah, we do. I think a really good performance from the team. Very, very good in all phases, really. I thought we limited them with a really good defensive performance from the team, and I thought we attacked really well too, and although we didn't create an abundance of clear-cut chances, I thought there were chances all through the game for us. Great to see us finally score, and then, the last attack of the game, last kick of the game, that's a tough one to take.
The result gives Barcelona a strong advantage back home, but manager Hansi Flick says it could be better.
With the ball, we made not a good game. So we lost too many balls, easy mistakes, and this is what Newcastle normally wants. So when they get the ball, the transition, what they make is good. They have a lot of dynamic, very fast players. So it was not easy, but at the end, what I appreciate a lot from my team is that we defend together. So we defend the performance, and the defense was very good.
Meantime, Atletico Madrid took a big step toward the Champions League quarter-finals. They beat Tottenham Hotspur 5-2 in the first leg. Elsewhere, Liverpool lost to Turkish club Galatasaray 1-0. We turn to basketball as the 2026 FIBA Women's World Cup qualifiers are underway. On Monday, China announced its 12-player roster for the qualifiers. Li Yueru and Han Xu, who play overseas, rejoined the squad. To prepare for the event, China played 3 friendlies games and won all of them. Coach Gong Lumin has taken time to talk about pre-tournament preparation and the goals moving forward.
Before the World Cup qualifiers, we arranged friendly games against teams like Brazil and the Czech Republic as part of our pre-tournament preparation. It was also a chance for both sides to get a better understanding of each other. We'll do our best to complete the tasks.
China forward Yang Shuyu says they will make improvements to play as a team.
This is a very young team, even younger than before. Over the past month, we have been working through issues in building chemistry. We still need more time and competitive experience to improve as a team.
The qualifiers are divided into 4 groups. China competes against Belgium, Brazil, South Sudan, the Czech Republic and Mali. As a continental champion, Belgium has already qualified directly for the tournament. The remaining 5 teams will compete for 3 spots. In the NBA, Bam Adebayo scored 83 points as the Miami Heat beat the Washington Wizards 150-129. This is the second highest single game total by a player in NBA history. He made 20 of 43 shots and 36 of 43 free throws. Adebayo passed Kobe Bryant's 81-point game from 2006.
To me, it's wondering what he would say. Seeing somebody, obviously you've seen 60, 70, but to be 83 and you pass him, in my mind it's like, what would he say to me? Because I've always wanted to have a conversation with him, but he'll probably say me do it again. But just a surreal moment being in a company with somebody you idolized growing up.
Adebayo also set new NBA records for free throws made and attempted in a single game. Just 2 days earlier, he passed 10,000 career points. He's only the second player in Heat history to do so after Dwayne Wade. Meantime, Kevin Durant scored 29 points and the Houston Rockets beat the Toronto Raptors 113-99. R.J. Barrett led the Raptors with 25 points. The Los Angeles Lakers beat the Minnesota Timberwolves 120-106. Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves each contributed 31 points for the Lakers. Chinese Taipei beat India 3-1 in their final group stage game at the 2026 AFC Women's Asian Cup on Tuesday. The win sets up a quarter-final clash with China Steel Roses on Saturday. In other matches, Japan defeated Vietnam 4-0 to win Group C. Japan will now face the Philippines in the quarterfinals. South Korea will play Uzbekistan. In tennis from the BNP Paribas Open, Alexander Zverev has dismantled Francis Tiafoe in straight sets to reach the quarterfinals at Indian Wells. Zverev recorded his 100th ATP Masters 1000 hardcourt win. Jannik Sinner has also progressed, knocking out João Fonseca in straight sets. On the women's side, world number 1 Arena Sabalenka east passed Naomi Osaka to reach the quarterfinals. Jasmine Paolini is out, losing to Talia Gibson in 3 sets. And finally, in table tennis, top seed Wang Chujin has defeated Jonathan Graf in straight games in his first match at the WTT Champions Chongqing. The world number 1 moved to the last 16. 6th seed Lin Yunzhu also reached the second round. He came back from a game down to beat Christian Carlsen. In women's singles, Chen Yi advanced to the second round after beating her opponent 3-1. Wang Manyu suffered a defeat.
Thank you very much. That's Yang Guang with sports. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in culture and entertainment, China's digital culture is going global.
From north to south, east to west, people in China are chasing their dreams and leaving their mark. Want to know how they beat the odds and made a difference? Footprints brings you the true life stories of their journeys.
52 past the hour, and turning to culture and entertainment. China's digital cultural industries have grown rapidly in recent years. With global hits like Ne Jia 2 and Honor of Kings, Chengdu is emerging as one of China's most dynamic centers for digital creativity. Yang Jinghao reports.
This is Ne Jia 2, with global box office revenues exceeding $2.2 billion. It is now the highest grossing animated film of all time. And it was made here at Long Island, a digital cultural and creative industrial park in Chengdu, southwest China. This is more than an industrial zone, it's a living ecosystem. Every block here connects creators, investors, and engineers, turning imagination into industry. Here we met Tian Haibo, who has brought traditional Chinese woodworking into the virtual world. His game is built around mortise and tenon structures, a centuries-old building technique in which wooden pieces interlock without a single nail.
I wanted more people to notice the beauty of this structure and maybe even inspire them to incorporate more Chinese cultural elements into design or even urban planning.
The game has attracted more than 10 million registered users and continues to grow steadily, far beyond Tian's expectations. For young entrepreneurs like Tian, Chengdu is a city where ideas can take root and grow into something big. Famous for its hot pot and giant pandas, Chengdu has become a cradle for some of China's most influential digital cultural innovations. A decade ago, Honor of Kings, now one of the world's most played games, was developed right here.
Chengdu, from its natural resources and cultural heritage to its education system, talent pool, government support, and overall city atmosphere, functions as a complete ecosystem. It's like a tropical rainforest where diverse elements coexist and interact in a harmonious way.
As studio's developers use motion capture technology to bring characters and stories to life, a glimpse of the city's vibrant creative scene. In 2024, Chengdu's core digital culture sector surpassed 380 billion yuan, or about $54 billion.
When companies run into difficulties, the government steps in with low-interest loans, sometimes worth tens of millions, which really helps companies like us and our suppliers.
Chengdu's rise reflects a broader surge in China's digital culture. Ancient joinery to virtual worlds, cities like Chengdu are turning cultural heritage into a global language. And the journey is only just beginning.
As Yang Jinghao reporting. A leading Ethiopian media platform will screen 18 Chinese TV programs in March. Fana Media Corporation announced the decision at a ceremony in Addis Ababa. Chinese Ambassador Chen Hai said the programs will help Ethiopian audiences experience China's diverse charm and vitality. The initiative is part of the China-Africa Year of People-to-People Exchanges in 2026. The programs include 6 dramas, 6 documentaries, and 6 animations. Fana TV will air them every Tuesday and Friday. Immersive cultural tourism is drawing huge crowds in a central Chinese city. Up to 90,000 people flock to the Millennium City Park in Kaifeng every day. The park brings a famous Song Dynasty painting to life. Visitors can enjoy folk performances and see traditional crafts. At night, the park offers cultural shows and fish lantern parades. The tourism boom helps the whole of Henan province. During the Spring Festival, the province welcomed over 60 million tourists. And this generated more than 37 billion yuan, roughly $5 billion in revenue. And Shanghai's Gutsun Park is welcoming early cherry blossoms. The city's 2026 Cherry Blossom Festival began on Monday and it runs for the whole month. Visitors can see 120 different cherry varieties. The park also offers nighttime viewing sessions. Cultural performances will take place throughout the event. 57 past the hour, Beijing down to 0 Wednesday evening. It's cloudy and 13 on Thursday. Shanghai's getting a light rainfall overnight. It's down to 7. That's followed by sunny skies and 14. Chongqing will be down to 13, then cloudy and 26. Nanchang is 11 degrees overnight, sunny and 20 tomorrow. Lhasa will be cloudy tonight and tomorrow, a low of +1 and a high of 17 degrees. Elsewhere in Asia, Islamabad's getting moderate rainfall and 14 this evening. Thursday is getting a light rain with a high of 23. In Vientiane, will see a light rainfall overnight and tomorrow, low of 19, a high of 30. And that's it for this edition of the Beijing Hour. Making news today, the annual meeting of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference has come to a close in Beijing, and China will expand its eldercare network under the country's 15th five-year plan. On behalf of the staff, this is Shane Bigham in the Chinese capital, hoping you'll join us for the next edition of the Beijing Hour and open a window to the world together.
Find the Beijing Hour at precisely 6 p.m. Beijing time. We meet you on podcast and on air every weekday. The Beijing Hour, your window on China and the rest of the world.
He can't live without the Yellow River in his eyes.
The Yellow River is so noble and elegant.
Both my grandpa and dad made a living from the river.
Would you like to move away from the Yellow River?
I don't think I will. I love it so much.
The Yellow River, the second longest river in China, is regarded as a shaping force in the history, economy and culture of northern China. Today, about 100 million people live within its water basin, making up nearly 9% of the country's population. How is climate change felt at its headwaters, and what are the locals doing to cope with it? What are the descendants of the boatmen doing? What has kept some people from leaving their home village by the river, and what has drawn others back? Could the fading fishing community revive in the time of digital transformation? From 2021 to 2024, our reporters visited the upper, middle and lower reaches of the Yellow River, talked to the herders, farmers, boatmen, fishermen and eco-activists who share a close bond with the river, and present their stories in pictures, podcasts and videos, all in our 12-part series, The Yellow River Mosaic, available only on CGTN Radio.